Two major wildfires continue to burn tonight in our local mountains. We have up-to-the-minute details on evacuations and containment on these fires.
An update on Operation Narco Navigator tonight. The DEA looking for a fugitive connected to a high-level drug ring.
President Trump's chief financial officer now being subpoenaed. What it means for President Trump.
You're watching KESQ, the desert's news leader. This is News Channel 3 at 11.
Good evening, I'm Karen Devine.
And I'm John White. We are continuing to stay on top of two fires burning in our local mountains. The Cranston fire, the largest of the fires, and led to a state of emergency declared today by Governor Brown. The Ribbon fire is the newest of the two, just south of the valley. It started this morning. More than 1,000 firefighters have joined the firefighting efforts. The Cranston fire has burned 7,500 acres. It is just 5% contained tonight, more than 24 hours after it began. Our team coverage tonight includes First Alert Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen, who was up on the mountain earlier today. And we begin with News Channel 3's Lauren Coronado.
Yeah, driving along Highway 74, you see a lot of hot spots, something as large as this one here over my left shoulder, and something just as small as this little embers that keep creating a lot of that smoke. But of course, there's the larger fire right here into the mountain area. Of course, locals hoping it does not grow.
It's been a little nerve-wracking, and thankfully everyone's safe, and there's been a few structures lost, but no one's been hurt so far, and that's the most important thing.
At least 5 homes destroyed so far, but so much more has been saved from the Cranston fire's raging path. Firefighters able to salvage the Living Free Animal Sanctuary in Mountain Center as flames burned dangerously close to the property. Smoke billowing over the mountaintop.
The real concern is just south of this into the Apple Canyon area. It's making a hard push right there just north of Herky Creek.
You can see the fire just aggressively burning here on the mountainside, and take a look at this dry brush on the ground just acting as heavy fuel, continuing to ignite the fire on this side of the mountain, threatening thousands of homes. Additional evacuations ordered in the Garner Valley area, adding to the list, which already includes Idlewild, Fern Valley, Pine Cove, Cedar Glen, Apple Canyon, Mountain Center, Lake Hemet, and the Herky Creek area. But some are refusing to leave.
I'm not evacuating, and I'm trying to help. I'm handing out sandwiches and drinks as often to anyone that will take them.
Nearly 1,000 firefighters on the ground, several helicopters loading gallons of water from Lake Hemet.
So we've got about 5 air tankers, we have 7 helicopters, the 3 very large air tankers, as well as last count that I had on our numbers from the Forest Service was about 10 dozers and a whole plethora of firefighters.
A multi-agency approach in trying to contain the massive fire, suspected as arson. The alleged man responsible, 32-year-old Brandon McGlover of Temecula. He's being held on $1 million bail as an investigation continues. And back out here live, you're seeing tracks from a dozer. The dozer actually kind of came all the way around this area, really making a perimeter around this active fire right now. And of course, you heard the captain say they had 10 dozers. This was actually one of the areas that was a problem area. The captain saying that this was on their radar when they saw a lot of that smoke billowing over the hillside, and he called it. This is the area that they're really focusing on. Reporting in Apple Canyon, I'm Lauren Coronado.
Thank you, Lauren. And the Ribbon fire that was reported this morning in the mountains to the south of the valley near Pinyon Pines, right now it's listed at 200 acres, 5% containment. People in the community were quite emotional when they were told that they may have to evacuate.
I have to keep my eye open because if it moves further over, I have my own home and 5 dogs. So I would have to evacuate the dogs with me.
I'm hopeful they get this out, God bless them, and we really appreciate them taking this as a priority right now.
Evacuation warnings have been ordered for Alpine Village, Pinyon Crest, Pinyon Pines, and Pinyon Flats campground.
The wind's sending a lot of that smoke our way here in the Coachella Valley. A smoke advisory remains in place. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen is tracking your conditions. Haley, you were in Idlewild earlier this evening, seeing and feeling the conditions firsthand.
That's right. And when I was there in downtown Idlewild, there was no wind. It was very light. Even the flag was barely waving. And at this time, Idlewild still reporting a wind gust of just 4 miles per hour. Where you see the color contours, that's indicating where the wind is really being felt. So still feeling a bit of a breeze across the mountains and as you get closer to Highway 74, but note the brightest colors right here in the desert through the San Gorgonio Pass and in the western portion of the Coachella Valley. Our normal wind-prone areas, what we're experiencing tonight is going to be very similar to what we'll experience tomorrow. Our relative humidity, nice and high in the mountains, 50% relative humidity in Idlewild, yet down here on the desert floor, we're talking about that percentage in the 20s. If you want higher humidity, just have to wait until this weekend because that's when more monsoonal moisture will be arriving right here in our desert.
Thank you, Haley. A smoke advisory continuing here in the valley, so if you suffer from a respiratory disease, you're urged to remain indoors with the AC on. According to the South Coast Air Quality Management District, air quality is expected to reach unhealthy to very unhealthy levels, as there is also an ozone warning in effect. The high heat mixed with smoke and ash can trap the pollution and decrease air quality. Some Palm Springs visitors reacted earlier today about their experience seeing smoke.
Even the pool the house that we're staying in, it's covered in ash. At the bottom of the pool, there's ash in it.
When I was coming outside of my apartment yesterday, I saw the plume. I looked up towards Idlewild and you can smell it.
The smoke and ozone advisories are expected to last until Friday morning, but of course could still be extended. For more information on local air quality, you can go to our website, KESQ.com.
Highway 74 remains closed between the Cranston Fire Station and Lake Hemet, and Highway 243 closed between the communities of Pine Cove and Mountain Center. Avoid the mountain areas if you can.
And of course, keep it right here on KESQ for continuing coverage on the Cranston fire. We will continue to bring you updates throughout the newscast, and we will always have up-to-the-minute information posted online at KESQ.com.
Police are searching for a Coachella man wanted in connection with a drug ring bust yesterday.
Next on News Channel 3, an update tonight on the search and a News Channel 3 I-Team investigation.
And we're continuing to follow up the minute details on both the Cranston and Ripon fires burning in our local mountains. We will check back in with News Channel 3's Lauren Coronado in just a few minutes. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
An update now on our exclusive I-Team investigation, Operation Narco Navigator. Yesterday, I joined the DEA and multiple law enforcement agencies as they targeted several homes in the Coachella Valley. The investigation was centered on a significant methamphetamine distribution network. 11 arrests were made in connection to the transportation cell. Now, this man, Raul Lopez Valenzuela, captured yesterday in Coachella, is responsible for sending narcotics to local sellers as well as to customers in other states, according to the DEA. And tonight, law enforcement is looking for this guy, Antonio Zamora of Coachella, also known as Foca, currently a fugitive and allegedly a supplier of narcotics for the drug organization.
This is a heck of a hit here for the Coachella Valley, allowing us to get a transportation cell off the streets and also have an effect on removing some firearms that were part of the overall investigation.
During the course of this investigation, over 50 pounds of methamphetamine and 4 firearms were seized. If you have any information on Zamora's whereabouts, call 213-621-6700. And you can see the whole story right now where I was inside the command center for the operation, a perspective that you'll only see on News Channel 3. The full story online right now only on KESQ.com.
2 amendments to address veterans' concerns about burn pits are part of the National Defense Authorization Act passed today in the House and now headed to the Senate. The bill easily passed today in the House. Local Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz says the amendments are aimed at stopping the use of burn pits and educating veterans about potential health problems. Ruiz believes burn pit exposure in Iraq played a role in the death of local veteran Jennifer Kepner, who passed away last year at the age of 39 from pancreatic cancer. I brought you her story last year in a News Channel 3 I-Team investigation. Burn pits have been used in Iraq and Afghanistan to dispose of trash on military bases, creating toxic smoke filled with chemicals and jet fuel.
Well, we are continuing to stay on top of efforts to contain both the Cranston and Ribbon fires burning in the mountains near the valley.
This is a live picture. Next on News Channel 3, we will check back in with Lauren Coronado on the Cranston fire. You can see just how close those flames are.
And coming up next is my complete first alert forecast. We'll be taking a look at what is happening right now with our temperatures, our winds, our humidity, and also what we can expect as we close out this work week. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
We are continuing to track containment efforts in the Cranston fire burning in Idlewild and the Ribbon fire burning in Pinyon Pines. We're going to check in now with our Lauren Coronado. She's live in Mountain Center with up-to-the-minute details. And Lauren, you and Chris Tarpening have been showing us some incredible video tonight. How close are you to those flames?
Karen, we're pretty close right now, and something that's really crazy is we were standing here about 2 hours ago before we even shot any of our lives. When we were just gathering video for this newscast, we were walking in this field. So it's pretty crazy to see how quickly the fire has really started out here. And you know, this is actually one of the areas right here near the Apple Canyon area that the captain we spoke to earlier during the 5 o'clock show said was going to be a problem. So he was right. He called it, and that's in fact why they called the additional evacuation orders in this Garner Valley area, which adds to the list of Idlewild, Fern Valley, Pine Cove, Cedar Glen, Apple Canyon, where we're standing now, Mountain Center, we're right next to Mountain Center, and Lake Hemet. Now, speaking of Lake Hemet, we were actually down there a little bit earlier today, and that's where we saw helicopters actually gathering water, loading up, and making additional trips up and down the mountain, trying to really get a good handle on the fire. And so far, they have been doing a really good job on that. So far, they have 5 air tankers, 7 helicopters, 3 very large air tankers, as well as about 10 dozers, and of course, more than 700 firefighters. Speaking of those dozers, you can see the cracks right here, just kind of the tracks that they've made here, creating a perimeter around this fire area, and it really has made a difference. We've noticed the flames kind of keeping to themselves and not growing, which is of course the ultimate goal here. We do know that 2 firefighters have been injured so far, and we will continue to give you guys any new updates as we receive them if we get more on their conditions tonight. Reporting live in Apple Canyon, I'm Lauren Coronado.
Now, First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen.
As the sun began to set, that's when our winds began to strengthen, but predominantly just here in the desert where you're seeing these brighter colors, that's indicating the stronger wind gusts right now. A gust of 37 miles per hour in Whitewater, 18 miles per hour in Desert Hot Springs, and 26 miles per hour in Thousand Palms. Still seeing the color indicating, yeah, there is wind occurring on the mountains, but overall, Idlewild still reporting a 4 mile per hour gust, otherwise breezy conditions in the mountains. The strongest winds staying right here in our desert. Tomorrow is going to be very similar to what we felt today, and check out these dew point temperatures in the 50s, near 60 though for Idlewild. Well, tomorrow, once again, is going to be very similar. We've been able to stay a little bit on the drier side because of a ridge of high pressure, and that ridge is not going anywhere. Other than keeping us somewhat dry, not really. We haven't been able to say it's dry heat this week by any means, but this is also the reason for our temperatures just being so hot. And because this ridge is staying with us, well, our temperatures are staying nice and hot, well above the seasonal norm. For today's date, that would be 108. Instead, we came in at 114. Now, what we're feeling today and what we've kind of felt over the past couple of days is much cooler than what we had been. Recall, we were just at 121 a short time ago. Yet here we are at 114. The reason for that, the amount of smoke and then the clouds blowing off of the mountains, that's actually limiting the amount of sun that we can have down here on the valley floor. It's still a hot day, do not get me wrong. And that excessive heat warning, well, it's going to stay with us even into tomorrow. For the Coachella Valley, not scheduled to expire until midnight Friday. For the mountains, scheduled to expire a little bit earlier, but regardless, Friday is a hot day. As we go into the weekend, that's when those temperatures will begin to cool down, but there's a trade-off. I'll touch on that in just a minute. Right now, still keeping it nice and warm. 101 at this time in Indio, 98 in Palm Springs, 95 in Cathedral City, and Idlewild, 74 degrees. So the mountains cooling down, but down here, we're we're talking about our morning lows near 90. This morning, we had a low of 89, so tomorrow's looking to be very similar to that. Overall, still plenty of sunshine for our Friday if you can spot it, because we're going to be dealing with those hazy conditions like we did today, where the smoke just worked its way into the Coachella Valley. Temperatures are still going to be heating up, but I think tomorrow is going to be a degree or two cooler than what you're actually seeing there listed for Friday because of the amount of smoke that we began to see in our sky, especially this evening. It really began to filter in. By Saturday, Sunday, we're getting more humid, and we're also increasing chances for mountain storms as well as showers across the desert.
Okay, we'll just keep going on. Everybody be careful out there. The heat, the smoke, all of it. It's kind of a mess.
It's a bad combination.
Thank you, Haley.
Thanks, Haley.
President Trump's chief financial officer being subpoenaed in the case against the president's former attorney, Michael Cohen.
Next on News Channel 3, why federal investigators are targeting the president's top financial expert. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
Longtime Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg has been subpoenaed to testify before a grand jury in the Michael Cohen investigation. Maggie Rulli tonight reports on what the subpoena could mean for the president.
He's perhaps the most powerful person in the Trump Organization not named Trump, even making a cameo on The Apprentice.
Replacing George this week is my chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg. And you think George is tough? Wait till you see Alan.
Standing by Donald Trump's side for decades as the company's chief financial officer, now there are new reports that Alan Weisselberg has been subpoenaed by federal prosecutors, caught up in the wide-ranging investigation of former Trump fixer and personal attorney Michael Cohen. Prosecutors in New York are examining whether Cohen broke laws trying to quiet women who claim to have had affairs with Trump. And Weisselberg's name is front and center in the newly released secret recording where you can hear candidate Trump and Cohen apparently discussing a plan to buy the rights to the story of a Playboy playmate who says she had a relationship with Trump. On the recording, Cohen proposes creating a shell company to do the deal.
And I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with funding. Yes.
Prosecutors are now using a federal grand jury to question Weisselberg. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, New York.
Well, the Cranston fire has knocked out power to more than 7,000 Southern California Edison customers in the Idlewild area. However, it's not only the mountain communities being left in the dark. Anza has been without power since last night. Anza Electric Co-op says 2 miles of their transmission lines were damaged by the Cranston fire. Officials say it'll take an undetermined amount of time to rebuild the structures before power can be restored to that entire area. If you know anyone living in Anza, it's best to check in on them, especially if they are elderly or disabled, as they sit without power during this dangerous heat wave.
Okay, a lot of communities evacuated up near Idlewild. The Palm Springs Aerial Tramway evacuated today because of the growing Cranston fire. The tram will remain closed, we are told, until further notice.
And with so many families displaced on such short notice, people from all over the valley have been coming together with volunteers and donations to help those thousands of people evacuated. The Find Food Bank has been deploying volunteers to deliver food and water to families evacuated. Many of those families have been staying at Banning High School in the staging area in the gym. Other groups have set up food and water stations for firefighters in Idlewild. Palm Valley School is hosting a dinner and donation drive. Some donors have given meals and other essentials, like many hotels in the valley are offering discounted rates for people needing somewhere to stay.
Whatever we can do to help, whatever I can do with our food bank in order to make sure that hunger and food isn't something that they have to worry about because they know that we're going to be there for them. And then you see the families that are getting displaced or having to find, shelter for we don't know how long for.
If you'd like to contribute, Find Food Bank says they have enough food at the moment but are asking for small monetary donations on their website in order to bring their services to those in need. Well, sports is up next tonight at 11. The Dodgers show off their new star player while the Angels try to split the series with the Sox.
Plus LAFC and the Galaxy, part 2 of the new soccer rivalry in Los Angeles. Blake Arthur will have the highlights in sports. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
This is the best local sports show with sports director Blake Arthur.
We start sports tonight on the diamond. First place Dodgers starting a series with the Atlanta Braves. Two teams eyeing the postseason. Dodgers making that clear by trading for Manny Machado. Line drive here to left, gets out in a hurry. First home run as a Dodger for Machado. his 25th of the year. He is a superstar. Dodgers hoping he can help bring them a World Series title. Yasmani Grandal, he's been swinging a hot bat. That continued tonight. Couple RBIs right there. Rich Hill's going to score. That's the Dodgers pitcher. He actually was solid. 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. Dodgers go on to win this game 8-2 the final. They take game 1 of the series over the Braves. Angels, they're way back in the AL West, but Ian Kinsler, he goes way back to left here. Tough division for the Angels. You got the Astros, Mariners, and Athletics all ahead of them. Halos were 14 games out of first coming into their matinee series finale with the White Sox. Still a lot of baseball to be played, but not looking good. Some good news, though. In today's game, the Halos got the win to salvage a split with the Sox. 12-8 the final at the Big A this afternoon. Time to kick it. The Los Angeles Football Club is a first-year team in the MLS, meaning there are now 2 teams in the LA area, with the 5-time MLS Cup champion LA Galaxy being the big brother, having been in the MLS for 24 seasons. The soccer guys in the newsroom, they tell me they call it El Trafico because of all the LA traffic. Some of us in the desert know a little bit about that as we head out that way. LAFC, they were full control in this one. They got out to the early lead, 2-0, but here come the Galaxy. In the final minutes, they got one in the 80th minute, and then here in the 85th minutes. So they scored 2 goals just like that, as this ended in a 2-2 draw. Different kind of football. High school season right around the corner with fall camp underway for many of our prep pigskin programs. This year the season starts a little sooner than normal. In addition to somewhat of a new schedule, there is of course the new leagues we've been telling you about. The Desert Empire League and the Desert Valley League. We will have more on these leagues and the entire football season with our previews of each team starting on the 1st of August. Hard to believe, but we're just over 3 weeks away from the first game of the season. Cannot wait for that. Should be a lot of fun as always. That's it for sports. News continues after the break. You're watching the Deserts News Leader.
Of the 2 fires burning in our local mountains, the Cranston fire near Idlewild still remains the biggest threat. It has charred 7,500 acres, destroyed 5 homes, and thousands of people have been evacuated from nearly 2,200 homes. The fire is 5% contained. 2 firefighters have been injured. A Temecula man is in custody on suspicion of 5 counts of arson for starting this blaze.
The Ribbon Fire, meanwhile, has burned 200 acres near the Pinyon Pines community. It's also 5% contained tonight. This fire started just after 10 this morning. A cause is still under investigation. Evacuation warnings in place now for communities there, including Pinyon Pines, Pinyon Crest, Alpine Village, and Pinyon Flats.
That is a live picture right now.
Wow.
That's right, with our photojournalist Chris Tarpening and Lauren Coronado, a reporter, are up there near the fire. And just keeps burning tonight, as you can see.
Yeah, and you can tell that was probably just one of those beautiful little kind of roadway fence lines that they had there that's going up in flames, is what it looked like to me there. Wow.
Yeah, and the good news is overall that with the wind, it's not extremely strong in the mountains. We're feeling more of the wind down here in the desert, and even then, it's only gusty in the evening hours.
Let's hope it's a good night for firefighters.
That's going to do it for us tonight at 11.
Kimmel Live up next.